L-theanine and caffeine. More caffeine isn't the answer. You're already overstimulated. What's missing is something that makes the alertness actually useful. Caffeine helps by blocking the signal that tells your brain to slow down. That's why you feel more alert. But alert and focused are not the same thing. The problem is caffeine doesn't direct where that energy goes. For most people, it creates urgency without control, alertness without aim. More tabs open, nothing gets closed. L-theanine raises alpha brainwave activity, the state linked to calm, deliberate attention. Alert, but not reactive. Present without the static. And unlike caffeine, it doesn't add more stimulation. It gives the stimulation you already have somewhere to go. Your output is locked in. Thoughts slow enough to be useful, and focus stays on the task instead of chasing whatever moves next. Most people are already running half this stack every morning. They just don't know it's incomplete. Creatine and omega-3. The wall at 2 p.m. isn't a caffeine problem. It's a brain running on empty. And most people never figure that out. Your brain burns energy constantly, even at rest. Billions of cells firing, signaling, storing. When that supply runs thin, mental endurance is the first thing to go. Not focus, not mood, just stamina. The ability to keep output steady without everything feeling like a grind. Most people reach for another coffee. It doesn't fix it because caffeine isn't the fuel. It just masks the signal that the fuel is gone. Creatine acts as a reserve. When brain cells need quick energy, creatine helps refill it fast. The effect isn't alertness, it's sustained output. Longer before the drop-off hits. Less of that feeling where simple tasks suddenly cost more than they should. Omega-3s work on the structure underneath. DHA builds healthy brain cell membranes. EPA supports communication between them. When levels are low, signals move less efficiently. Everything starts feeling sluggish without a clear reason. One refills the fuel, the other keeps the system running clean. Caffeine borrows energy you don't have. Creatine and omega-3s actually put it back. Alpha GPC and caffeine. The answer was right there. You could feel it. The word, the name, the point you were building toward. Then your brain stalled mid-sentence, left you standing in the conversation holding nothing. This is where alpha GPC and caffeine make a powerful combination. Caffeine wakes the system. Alpha GPC helps it communicate. Your brain uses alpha GPC to make acetylcholine, the chemical involved in attention, learning, memory, and mental processing speed. When acetylcholine levels aren't where they should be, thoughts feel harder to grab. Recall slows down. You know the information is there, but accessing it takes longer than it should. Together, they help close the gap between being awake and being mentally sharp. Faster recall, better attention, less likely to lose your train of thought halfway through a sentence. The problem is remembering information in the moment isn't the same thing as keeping it long-term. That's where the next combination comes in. Lion's mane and bacopa. Most people assume the brain they have at 30 is the brain they're working with forever. Slower recall, harder to learn new things, longer to adapt, just aging. That's not entirely true. The brain can still change. It just needs the signal. Lion's mane contains compounds that may stimulate nerve growth factor, a protein that helps neurons grow, maintain themselves, and form new connections. Not a full reset, just support for the parts of the brain that drive learning and memory. One of the few compounds with preclinical research behind neuroplasticity in adults, with early human trials showing real cognitive benefits, particularly in older adults. Bacopa works on what those new connections need once they exist. Over time, it strengthens memory formation and recall, so new pathways don't just form, they hold. New connections without memory support are like new roads with no traffic. Bacopa puts the traffic on them. One supports the infrastructure, the other puts it to work. Learning that compounds over time. Recall that gets steadier instead of slower. A brain that feels like it has room again. Magnesium L-threonate and L-theanine. It's late, you're exhausted. But the second your head hits the pillow, your brain switches on, replaying conversations, rehearsing tomorrow, circling problems that don't need solving at midnight. You're not anxious, you're not stressed, your brain just won't stop talking. And the longer it runs, the worse tomorrow gets. Most forms of magnesium never actually reach the brain. They help muscles relax, help digestion, but the noise upstairs stays exactly where it is. Magnesium L-threonate is different. It crosses into the brain directly. Once there, it reduces the overexcitability that keeps thoughts cycling long after they've stopped being useful. L-theanine works on the same problem from the outside in. It raises alpha brainwave activity, the state your brain is supposed to drop into when the day is done. Not sedated, not switched off, just finally quiet. Worth noting, L-theanine appeared earlier for focus. Same compound, different context. Paired with caffeine, it steadies stimulation. Paired with nothing, it just lets the brain downshift. Same mechanism, different result. Together, they don't knock you out. They turn the volume down to where it should have been hours ago. Bacopa and citicoline. You learned it, understood it, could have explained it yesterday. Today it's gone. Or half there, somewhere you can't reach when you need it most. Your brain has two jobs when it encounters new information: communicate it and store it. Most people chasing memory problems are only addressing one. Citicoline handles communication. It produces acetylcholine and maintains the health of brain cell membranes, improving how efficiently neurons talk to each other. When that system runs clean, information moves where it needs to go. Bacopa handles storage. It has been studied specifically for memory formation and recall, strengthening the connections involved in holding new information over time, making learning feel less like pouring into a bucket with holes in it. One keeps the signal clean. The other makes sure what that signal carries actually stays. Run citicoline without Bacopa and information moves efficiently but doesn't consolidate. Run Bacopa without citicoline and the storage system is strong, but the signal feeding it is weak. Together, they close the loop. Information arrives clearly and gets filed correctly. Communication and storage are two different problems. This combination solves both at the same time. Phosphatidylserine and magnesium L-threonate. Stress doesn't always feel like stress. Sometimes it looks like forgetting why you opened a tab. Reading the same sentence twice. Making the kind of small mistakes that normally wouldn't happen. You call it distraction. The mechanism is something else entirely. Cortisol is the variable most people aren't tracking. Under sustained pressure, elevated cortisol pulls resources away from the systems that handle focus and working memory. The brain keeps running, just reactively. Every input gets a response. Deliberate thinking gets crowded out. Phosphatidylserine is a compound found in brain cell membranes with one particularly studied effect: helping regulate cortisol response, blunting the spike that pulls cognitive performance offline under load. The brain stays in the game instead of shifting into damage control. Magnesium L-threonate reduces neural overexcitability from the other direction, less reactive to every signal, more stable under sustained demand. The brain stops firing at everything and starts directing resources where they're actually needed. One manages the pressure, the other steadies the system working under it. Most people treat this kind of underperformance as a productivity problem. It's a chemistry problem. And chemistry has a different answer than discipline. Zinc and omega-3. Some days your brain just shows up. Other days it doesn't. Same sleep, same food, same routine, but the drive isn't there. Doing anything feels like pushing through mud. You tell yourself to focus harder. It doesn't help. That's not a willpower problem. Your brain is missing two things it needs to run properly. Zinc makes dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals that make you feel motivated, focused, and like things are worth doing. When zinc is low, your brain is still making them. Just not enough. So everything works, just not well enough to feel easy. Omega-3s handle the delivery. Your brain cells are wrapped in a membrane made largely of DHA, the main fat in omega-3s. When that membrane breaks down, signals between brain cells get noisy. The chemicals are there. They just can't travel cleanly enough to do their job. Zinc makes the fuel. Omega-3s build the engine that burns it. This combination doesn't feel like a stimulant. No sudden hit. What it fixes is the floor. The difference between a brain that has to be dragged into gear every morning and one that just starts. Curcumin and omega-3. Your brain produces metabolic waste constantly as part of normal daily operation. Low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress build quietly in the background. When those processes run ahead of the brain's ability to manage them, the effects are cumulative and slow, invisible until they aren't. Curcumin supports the brain's natural defense systems against that buildup. One of the most studied compounds for long-term cognitive health, with research behind protection against age-related decline. Omega-3s maintain the structural health of the cells those systems are protecting. Healthy membranes communicate better. Degraded ones don't recover cleanly. One supports the protection, the other maintains the hardware being protected. This isn't about today's performance. It's about making sure the brain running today is still running the same way 5 years from now. Ultimate Brain Stack. 9 combinations, 9 different systems, 9 problems most people are living with right now and blaming on something else. Scattered focus, the midday wall, words vanishing mid-sentence, a brain that won't shut off at night, memories that don't hold, capacity that stopped growing, stress that doesn't look like stress, a quiet ceiling with no name. and a slow decline nobody notices until it's already years in. That's the part most people miss. They're not underperforming because they lack discipline or haven't found the right hack. They're underperforming because one of these systems is running below where it should be, and no single supplement was ever going to fix all of it. Drop a comment and tell us which combination surprised you the most, then check out the next video.